Internationally known designer Lulu and Jackie Chan with these two, along with dozens of shops from every place. So come on, we have something for everyone.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who didn't meet me earlier, my name is Georgia Turner, and I'm the communications manager for the Florence Lauderdale Tourism Office. For those of you who haven't been to our office before, we really are so glad that you're here in our visitor center. It's been a great addition to the Florence tourism scene since June of last year is when we opened our tourism center. So without further ado, I guess I'm going to let you have it. I'll take it. All right. This is, for those of you who don't know her, this is Judy Hood, better known as the Swampette. And the reason that you're all here today. So take it away, Judy.
All right. Thank you. Because I don't amount to much at all. My husband is a legendary bassist for the Swamp. We started these tours a couple of years ago after the movie came out because so many people had an interest in coming here and learning more about the story, and it just happens to be my favorite story to tell. And I want you to know that this is not your average tour. This tour is very interactive. We're going to talk a little bit about the history, but mostly we're going to be very hands-on. You're going to stand in the room where Dan Penn and Spooner Oldham wrote Do Right Woman. You're going to sit down in the chair where Mick Jagger was when they were cutting Brown Sugar and Wild Horses, and You Gotta Move. This is going to be a hands-on kind of day. If you have questions, we'll answer them, but mainly we're about the magic on this tour, more than the history. So, because I think you can see that in the documentary or read that in the book, but you can't touch the wall, you know, where some of the studios that are like the most holy place of music, really. So how many of you have seen the documentary? You'll have a leg up when you do see the documentary because you'll be able to say, hey, I've been there. So, and there are copies of the documentary for sale at the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. So any of you that haven't seen it and want to get a copy, we can get one out there. We're going to go first to Fame Recording Studio. They are a working recording studio. And so normally we go into Studio A, which is where most of the hits were cut. But today they've got a session in there that we probably won't be able to interrupt. But if they take a break, we'll sneak in there. But that session is being produced by Ben Tanner, who is the keyboard player for the Alabama Shakes. So he has said that he'll come out and say hello to us. So we'll have an Alabama Shakes sighting over there at Fame. And I have a guaranteed Swamper sighting at 3614 Jackson Highway today because my husband David Hood is going to be there. And he is jet lagged, just got in from Germany. He's on tour with the Waterboys, a British rock band. So he may go to sleep on us, but he did say that he'd be there today. So that'll be a fun experience for y'all to get to talk to the Swamper in the studio where they create all that great music. So we're going to watch the movie trailer to kind of get us in the mood, and then we're going to go to Rock and Roll Heaven.
And we are fortunate to hear Sam Phillips' son and granddaughter.
But I wanted you to tell everybody too about what you're working on with the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, right now, this summer, towards the end of the summer, I don't have an exact date that I can share yet, but the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville is going to do an exhibit on Sam. So they're working with us. They're pulling a lot of things out of Sam Phillips' recording in the 60s when Sam actually had some success and had some money. He never owned the building that Sun Record Company was in, so he built recording right around the block, and we still own and operate that studio as well. It's just like it was in the 60s. That's actually where we did the Local Saints record. But they're pulling a lot of artifacts, a lot of things that have never been seen that we've had in there. We've actually uncovered things in there that we didn't realize that we had. So, but yeah, that'll be happening in the summer, so you'll be able to go to Nashville and check out the Sam Phillips exhibit. And there are also Peter Guralnick, who wrote wonderful books on Elvis and other artists, is also working on a book for Sam right now, and that should be coming out around the same time as the exhibit opens in Nashville. And the art, and with somebody that's a true artist and that can tell a story and create something that's real, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the best singer you've ever heard. So, we're trying to carry the torch the best that we can. I feel really, really passionate about it and continuing the work that my grandfather did, because he really built something out of nothing and really did give people a chance that nobody would talk to and was treated terribly for it. I mean, again, in the 50s, recording black musicians as a white man, they were very cool to him for that.
And two things going back to vinyl now, all the way back, can you believe that? I know these guys in the back, I'm just real over there. I don't need that. Now, I was in Austin, Texas, out there a couple of weeks ago. She was with me, and we went to a music store. The guy was taking us around and introducing us to some people. And he told me single-handedly now, he's been in business for 35, 40 years or whatever, but that if it wasn't for vinyl records, he'd be out of business. So that's amazing. And, even now I'm back to playing some vinyl stuff. I mean, I never got away from it, but you kind of did get off of it's a little simpler to stick a CD in there and put through it, go.
Yeah.
But
Well, convenience kind of started replacing quality.
MP3 and all that. People, new kids today, they don't know what their sound is. They really don't know what it is. But I was in the studio the other day. We were working there and had a vinyl record playing that. I just looked down at it and it was just kind of mesmerizing me, man. It really was. I'd forgotten what that feeling was like to put that down and watch it go, It was really cool. But yeah, I mean, we were trying, like that band she took to just tell you how far things have gone away. The youngest guy in that band, and they're all great guys, but we would cut the analog with tape, and when you run the tape machine back, it goes, makes this noise, and he had headphones on, and he goes, what's the sound? They'd never heard tape rewind. So, I mean, it's come a long way, but now it's come back in school, but I think, a lot of that has to do with people like Jack White and with these cooler, hipper people getting, starting to put money in vinyl, and that people have to start these things for other people to get them on board, but we're trying to hold to the truth about music, and my dad was a technical guy all the way. If he'd had Pro Tools, then he would have loved to have used them, but he wouldn't have used them to cheat. He would have used them to enhance, maybe take a little noise out or something, but he wouldn't have been cutting, pasting choruses, do it one time, fellas, we're going to do this. And it's all about the music, and sometimes I think that is what's kind of missing these days. It's really not about the music anymore, it's about marketing of music. And
it used to be about performing and doing what's best for the song, no matter what player you were, if you were a drummer, you didn't have to do some crazy drum part, you did it for the song. The song was important, it wasn't the lead vocal, it wasn't the drummer, it was for the song. Now it's so template based, this is what's popular, plug all this in here, make it sound this way, and let's go. And now you can turn on the radio, and I know we have a country radio station, I'll use this as an example, and I hate it. We own a country radio station, the stuff that we play, and we still play a lot of independent stuff on it, but we have to play what's popular, and I'll hear 3 or 4 songs in a row, and I can't tell who the artist is.
We just had a lecture that you're going to enjoy, Howie, and Jerry.
Right.
Jerry is Jerry Phillips, son of Sam Phillips.
There you go.
And this is the granddaughter. Jerry, did you have, I heard you mention a brother. Were there any other children?
No, just one, my brother Knox, and he's still very active in the business. And he's really the one.
Well, Allie, it's up to you, honey.
Well, I'm trying my best, so we'll see. We'll see how this
Well, it
goes.
sounds like it's in the
I've got one other daughter too. She's a really good singer, but she's more interested in they raise cattle. She's got a degree in animal behavior. So her farm though is Bronson Farm.
Oh, S-U-N.
Right. Actually, her middle name is Son, Son.
Oh, that.
She was born when Halley's Comet came through, and I researched it. It's Halley, that's how you pronounce it. H-A-L-L-E-Y.
Thank you so much.
It was certainly a treat for us.
Thank you very much.
All right, is everybody in? 14 Jackson Highway, and as promised, we do do have a swamper side. So this is my husband, David Hood. And rather than me run my mouth, we have somebody who actually knows the facts. So if y'all have some, why don't y'all just ask David some questions? And
put a dime in the slot.
yeah, one of you give me a Hall of Fame, and also just some Jasper.
Oh, okay.
Alabama Cable Network.
All right.
Walker Web TV.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
But we changed a little bit. I mean, it looks like, this looks a lot like the way it did, but we spiffed it up a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell. There was a really ugly shag carpet on the floor, and the burlap on the ceiling and the walls. That's not the original, but we nailed it up. Bombs, and there was also a place for the base over there, but there were no scientific design at all, and then we later added the ceiling to kind of contain the sound.
Again, what year was that, David?
That was the first photo taken in front of the building. Who was your first customer? First customer? Well, Carol Quillen was one of our very first customers. He's a fellow who lives over in Florence, but the first big customer was Cher. She was Sonny and Cher prior to that, and they decided that she was going to cut a solo album, just Cher, and Atlantic Records brought her here for that. And there's probably a picture of
it's
that
right. It's
album
up in the
cover.
front.
Yeah, in there, and that was the first photo taken in front of the building. The first of thousands, probably, after that.
Was that after the Sonny and Cher, I Got You, Babe?
Yes,
All that success?
yes. They had gone up to all that and then kind of started tapering off. So she thought, well, we'll try being. Sonny was here with her, but it was her solo album.
How did it do, David?
It didn't do too good. It was not a hit. It's become kind of a collector's item now, but it was not a big seller at all. Jerry Wexler was the producer along with Tom Dowd and Arif Mardin, and they're very famous record producers from that time and still are. But Jerry, while he was here, got pneumonia and had to go into the hospital, and so we did most of it ourselves, just with Tom and Arif. And but I don't think that's the reason it wasn't a hit. It wasn't really all that good, I guess.
What was your first hit out of here?
Well, the first small hit was Lulu, and that was Oh Me, Oh My, and the first big hit was Take a Letter Maria, R.B. Greaves.
That's your first big money maker?
Yeah, well, we didn't make the money. The record company and R.B. Greaves made the money. We get paid the same whether it's a hit or not. Unfortunately.
We don't have a picture of Lulu on the wall, but that's the picture of R.B. Greaves right there at the top.
With the group of people there. On the fellow on the left with the glasses, that was his manager, Jonathan Rowlands, and that's R.B. holding the record. And the guy next to him is Ahmet Erdogan, who was the record producer and president of Atlantic Records.
Incredible.
I'm credited with some pictures, and I did take a few, but I didn't take that says photo by David Hood. That might have been mine.
I think that's a Tommy Wright
Yeah, I
photo.
think that's a Tommy Wright picture, but it came from my collection.
It's in David's collection
Yeah.
now. David did take this picture right here. You could tell some of them, the ones that he took.
Yeah, they're out of focus.
You're too
That was after being a
Well, the camera had a problem with it, and you'd look.
Oh, seriously?
And
You
it
got
would
kids
come back
around.
slightly out of focus.
The Cher album, by chance, who was responsible for that?
Stephen Haley.
Idea.
Oh, the idea for the picture?
Yeah, to be outside the building.
I don't know whose idea that was. It might have been the photographer. His name was Steve Paley. And he's become a famous photographer. He lives in New York and does other stuff. I think he makes films and
And
things.
interestingly, that was not, the 3614 was not on the studio.
Yeah,
wasn't?
that sound,
Right.
the album cover, when that one came out, it had the blue oval with 3614 Jackson Highway on it.
Oh.
If you look at the picture,
That's why we have it out there.
That's not there. We copied the album cover. to make our sign.
Oh, my.
That's usually the first story we tell when people came in because she was the first person that recorded here. And that's why that picture is so cool that we have of it, because it's one of the only pictures of the building without the sign on it.
Yeah.
And most people think that that album cover is the sign on the building, and it's not. They saw it afterwards and then added it. So, but it does look exactly like
Yeah,
it.
it was some art director at Atlantic Records who put the.
Well, great for you.
Yeah, I guess.
Was she easy to work with, David?
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Great.
She was great.
Enjoyed that.
She had just had Chastity, her daughter, and but she was a lot of fun to work with. She was a kind of a guy's girl. You know, she liked to hang out with the guys, and I gave her a ride on my motorcycle and just.
You rode around Cher on your motorcycle. My goodness. Well, that was way before Judy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was way before Judy.
I bet her hair was flying in the wind.
Yeah. Well, she had on a hippie kind of outfit. You can see in the picture. I don't know if she has on the same outfit, but she had on a kind of a Indian-looking rawhide thing with fringe and stuff.
Yeah,
I think on '69, that was everybody was kind of
Oh,
hippie
that's
looking.
right. That was the style.
David or Judy, the other elephant in the room, the toilet seat. I've heard several ask what that about it. You want to?
Well, it's like having a horseshoe over your door. It's supposed to be for good luck, and that's pretty much it. We thought it was funny.
I usually tell people that, and Judy tells us a lot too, when the guys came here, y'all have to remember they were only 25 years old, about there, so they were really, really young, all of them, same age. And I think they just thought that was funny. Most people think there's a huge story behind that toilet seat, but I think you guys just thought it was pretty funny.
You always see a horseshoe over a door,
Right,
barn door or
right.
something, that it's supposed to be for good luck. And
Except it's not a horseshoe, it's a toilet.
It's a swamper version.
It's a swamper version
I
of
just
it.
glanced at it and I thought it was a horseshoe.
not for use.
Mercy.
Be a pretty big
Smart.
horse.
Yeah.
I thought it was a horseshoe and it's
Some of the
a
songs
toilet
written or
seat.
recorded or whatever in the bathroom?
Well, you can see
Okay.
it's a small place. We would use the bathroom as an isolation booth sometimes and put a guitar amp in there. Well, that's in the studio. You have to be able to separate things so they don't all bleed in together.
And some of the big names that were here, David.
Gosh.
Rolling Stones?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were the Rolling Stones in this building?
Yes, Rod Stewart, the Rolling Stones,
Seeger.
Bob Seger, Paul Simon, Willie Nelson. I just looking around the walls and you'll see who all was here.
Who was bringing the acts? Who was doing the marketing?
Well, a lot of them were recorded with Atlantic Records, but after we got a few hits, they would just call us up and say we want to come record.
Did they stay in private homes, or was there good?
They usually, then it was either the Holiday Inn or Howard Johnson's. Later, we bought a guest house for people to come stay, but it's just the hotels that were available. This being a kind of an out-of-the-way place, they would like. That was one of the things they liked about it, is they could come and record and go to the grocery store or go to wherever they wanted to go without being bothered too much.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only artist that we recorded with that had a following, people hung out in the parking lot, was Bob Dylan. And people knew he was coming before he even got here. And I don't know how they knew that, but that was before the internet, but somehow they knew and they were here. That was the control room, and as you see, it's a small building. You want to have a breath of air, we just would go out on the back porch, and that way we could hear what we were playing in the control room out there, and it just was a great place, and it was a good way to listen to things without it being really loud. You could kind of hear it like other people would hear it.
Now, David, what was the name of your group prior to, and who is credited with naming you guys the Swampers?
Well, we're Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section. We were never really known as the Swampers, but we were on an album that Leon Russell recorded. This record producer, Denny Cordell, a fellow from Ireland, had some other musicians working on it besides us, and they were from Tulsa, and to just differentiate. And from them, he called us. They were the Tulsa something and others, and we were the Muscle Shoals Swampers on that. And that didn't, you know, that didn't
Kind of a
really-
nickname, that's
yeah,
what
a
we called
nickname,
you.
but it really didn't catch on or anything until the Leonard Skinner used it in Sweet Home, Alabama.
Oh, iconic. Amazing.
I think you tell the story that it when they sent you the gold record from Leon Russell, it had "To the Swampers" written on it. And is that right? I think I've heard somebody, either you or Jimmy, tell
It might
that.
have been Jimmy.
And that's how Ronnie Van Zant saw it. That's how he knew y'all were called the Swampers, and he
I don't know. I really
referred
don't
to y'all
know
that way.
I don't know, because I don't know if that record, I guess it was a gold record, I don't know.
Seems like it was some. That seems like that's what after.
It was on the back of the album.
Yeah.
That way.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other members of the band, again, the Swampers.
Well, my partners are Jimmy Johnson, who played rhythm and guitar, Roger Hawkins, drummer, and Barry Beckett, keyboard player. And then we had other people that worked with us. At first, Eddie Hinton was one of the guitar players, and later other guys played guitar and keys. It was a very fluid situation, except for the four of us.
But what a wonderful sound.
Who were you most intimidated by? Was there anyone that came through?
Nobody.
That's a great answer.
No, we were really, I'm not bragging, I don't ever brag, but we were really good. You know, it's just simple as that. We worked together so much that people would come in and we could do whatever they needed. You know,
They were more impressed by you than the other way around.
maybe, I don't know if that's the fact or not, but we did what we did so much that we got really good at it. And you know, time is money in this business. You know, you're paying studio time by the hour. You're hiring musicians by 3-hour sessions. You got engineers that work by the hour. And so the quicker you can get something good done, the better it is. And we
And
got
they kept
really
coming.
we got
They
very
kept
efficient
coming.
at doing it.
Features your play?
Well, Staple Singers is the one that everybody brings up because it's got a very prominent bass line, and they say my name on the record. I'll take you there. But I like them. So we work real hard on this stuff, and by the time we get where it's good enough to record, we have put a lot of effort into it. And you know, it's not all of them are not my taste necessarily, but you know, when you work hard and try to do something you're proud of.
Still playing today
Yes. Yes.
in gigs with?
Well, I
bands?
still work in recording studios when somebody calls.
That's a trick question because he's Googled you on the internet. He knows you're working with Waterboy.
Oh yeah, and I've been I've recorded with a group from the UK, Scotland, and Ireland, and England last March called the Waterboys, and I recorded with them. And then when they decided that they were going to go out on the road and tour, they asked if I would go with them. And I mean, it's wow for more reasons than you think, because I don't really like to do that. I don't like to go out. I don't like to be gone from home a lot, and it's hard work, and I can be a little lazy.
Are you enjoying it though, David?
Yeah, I am enjoying it very much. The reason I'm doing it is because it just got 20 years since the last time I did any kind of tour, actually more than 20 years. And I just thought, well, this might be a fun thing to do to kind of give me a little spark, inspiration.
Was there ever any time after recordings to go out on the road with, say, like Rolling Stones or Leonard Skinner, or somebody, hang out with them on the road, or do some set-in playing with them live? Or?
Not really. You know, usually they come and record and they're gone.
Gone, and that's it.
And they never call.
Yeah.
There's a few, you know, I'm not making light of all this. There's a few that would come back and record again and stuff, and there's a few that I guess I hear from occasionally. But it's,
Well, of course, he did tour with Traffic, so that was.
I went on the road
Right, I remember
Yeah.
seeing that in the documentary.
and then that was 1972 and 73. And then 20 years later, in 93, I went out with some blues artists that I've been recording with, Little Milton and Denise LaSalle. And then 20 years after that, I'm going out with the Waterboys. So it's about every 20 years. We'll see who's around when I'm 90.
Steam over there, so we can bring you up.
Yeah, they may have to.
Speaking of being a part of the group of musicians that you always played with here, one of the things that's interesting and people ask about a lot when they come in is that Boz Scaggs album is a good example that's in here when he was here in '69, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And all you guys are featured on that album. Like there's pictures of everybody in it, like y'all are the band.
Mm-hmm.
And that seemed to happen quite a few times.
Well, that's why they would come, is because of the band. And we were luckily, or whatever, however you say it, we were able to play a lot of different styles of music, and our goal was not to sound like us, but to sound like the band for each artist that would come. Like,
That's a challenge in itself.
it is, and it's hard to do. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like being an actor a little bit, you know, you just kind of take on the role.
Convenience.
And everybody should take a look at that Boz Scaggs album. We have a couple of them here. It has great pictures in it. All the guys, the Swampers are all in it.
And
Dwayne Allman's in it.
It wasn't a hit either. It has become a real cult album. You know, it's really cool, and mainly because Dwayne Allman played guitar on it. But
It's a great
It's
album.
a really good record, but it wasn't not a hit. My son is a musician in the Drive-By Truckers.
Oh, and of course you taught your son to play?
No.
You
not at
did
all.
not?
No. I didn't want him to do it. I wanted him to get an education and become a pharmacist so he could help me in my old age.
That was a good plan. So someone else taught him to play?
Well, we all kind of learn on our own, I think. I learned from listening to people's records, and somebody would show me something, and that's the way you'd learn.
That's a good thing to talk about too when y'all talk about the community musicians that are in this area and how many people you guys have actually influenced and taught. Most of the younger guys, even from you guys were always so nice to let them hang out and learn.
Hands-on teaching, really. I think they just followed by example, and we were very fortunate to have a lot of the people. It's long, hard hours doing what we do. And like our sound engineers, most of them first started going and picking up sandwiches and things and sweeping out the studio, and they learned a bit, a little bit at the time, each time, and then most of those guys became full-time sound engineers.
Just the interest was there, and they pursued
And
it.
you have to be willing to put in the hours and learn, because there are schools you can go to now for learning to be a sound engineer, but there weren't any then.